This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. Welcome to Money Monday, where we provide you with holistic financial advice from Foster Financial. And joining me today is their Vice President, Caleb Doane. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing?
Good. Okay, so today we're going to talk about capital gains, and this is a topic that we have not discussed yet. So what are capital gains?
Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions around capital gains. Basically, what they are, kind of an example, is if somebody buys a stock in their individual account, let's say, for $100 and it grows to $150, there's a $50 unrealized capital gain. And it's unrealized because they haven't actually sold the position yet. So they still own that stock that's now worth $150. If they were to then sell that share of Apple or whatever it is, then they would have a realized capital gain of $50. And it's when they actually sell that position that creates that taxable event, where at the end of the year they would owe capital gains taxes on that position. But there are only certain accounts, certain investment accounts that are actually subject to capital gains. So your 401k that you rolled over into an IRA, let's say, that actually is not subject to capital gains taxes at all. It's only non-qualified brokerage accounts. And so these would be like individual accounts, joint accounts, trust accounts, and they're kind of very different on how they are treated from a tax perspective. So I thought it'd be important to kind of break that down.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot there. So basically, the difference between what you put into the investment and what you can get out.
Right.
So that gain, is that something that takes time to accomplish, or is that something that's automatic if you were to immediately withdraw your money?
Yeah. So I mean that gain, that if you bought that stock for $100, I mean, who knows? That could take years to grow to that 150, or it could never grow to the 150. Ideally it grows, but if you do have that gain and you sell it, that's when you kind of realize what they call realizing that capital gain. But those different accounts are very different from tax perspective. So with an IRA, which a lot of people are probably really familiar with, an IRA, the taxable event is not selling within the account. So within the account, you could have that same situation in an IRA where you bought a security for $100. You could turn around and sell it for $150 a few years later. And as long as it stays inside that account as cash or gets reinvested into something else, it stays within that IRA shell or wrapper, and it wouldn't cause any taxes for you. It's only when you withdraw it that it causes taxes. With the other types of accounts, those non-qualified brokerage accounts like an individual or a joint account, you could never withdraw the money, but if you sell that security for $150 in there, all of a sudden you owe taxes at the end of the year. And so we have to be really careful selling those positions. With an IRA, it's very easy to rebalance them. So in years where we want to sell out of a certain position, if we think it's prudent to diversify away from something, maybe we sell out of Apple and we go into Microsoft. It's very easy to do that within an IRA without causing taxes. Within that non-qualified account, if somebody has that share of Apple with thousands and thousands of dollars of realized or unrealized, capital gains, as soon as we sell Apple, it could cause a big tax bill for them. So we have to be very careful with those types of accounts.
Okay, and those are only taxed at the end when you're about to withdraw it. This is not an annual type of tax that's on there, correct?
So on those non-qualified accounts, the taxable event is right when you sell it. And so if I sell it, today, for that $50 capital gain, I don't necessarily owe taxes today. You'll owe it, come tax time at the end of the year, but today is that taxable event when it occurs.
Okay, and then let's talk about the amount of time, just so people can understand what the goal is here. So it's not immediately an appreciated amount, so they don't automatically get that gain, but over time they do. And so is there a strategy that you all look at as financial advisors when you're trying to figure out what best accounts will get the most gain?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We certainly take a look at the taxability of the account to determine how aggressive or how conservative the account is going to be. Generally, capital gains taxes are actually less than your ordinary income tax, which is what you'll pay if you withdraw from an IRA. So if those capital gains taxes are less, sometimes we want more growth-oriented positions in those accounts than what we would in like an IRA. So we're always trying to manage those taxes Probably the biggest thing that viewers should maybe take away from this is that there are a lot of people that have these brokerage accounts that have very large positions with very high capital gains, and they feel like they can't do anything with the account because they know, oh, if I sell this, I'm gonna have to pay a ton of money in taxes. So they might have been purchasing Apple stock for their entire life, or purchasing Microsoft stock, or whatever it might be, and they could have a couple $100,000 worth of that stock, and it has a ton of capital gain on it. And they might say, now I'm older, I don't really want to ride that roller coaster anymore.
Right.
Apple stock, it can go down 30% in 1 year, it can go up 30% in 1 year. Or maybe they have positions from local companies. Maybe they worked at Steel Dynamics or Nucor, Raytheon or something, and they have a lot of those positions. They want to diversify away from it, but they feel like they can't because of capital gains. And so there's a lot of strategies that we can use. There's tax loss harvesting, where we basically take a loss on a different position and offset it by the gain. Or we could simply diversify over time. And we could say, look, you're in this certain tax bracket, you have this much room in the tax bracket, let's realize $10,000 of capital gains every single year until we've fully divested.
Okay, oh, that's interesting. So the big takeaway, though, is that capital gains may tax you, but you want capital gains, right? You want it to earn.
Exactly, yeah, that is kind of the catch-22. It's like, it's a good thing to have capital gains, but of course you don't want to share your gains with the government.
Too much, right? It's like you can't, if you don't have anything to tax, then you can't tax.
Exactly.
So we want a little something, but we have to do it smart. So that's why having a financial advisor is so important. So thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And if you would like more information about Foster Financial, we'll have their phone number listed below to check out their complimentary consultation. And I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.